There's Zev with Alex, Voice of Ukraine. There's Zev with Malcolm Nance. Lev. There's Lev with, Michael Cohen doing something raw and unfiltered. Like every time I was on Substack yesterday, boom, there you were going, here's the real fucking scoop. And so I sent you a quick text and I'm like, I need to get the voice of Lev Parnas into the ears of Canadians. We've got about a 60-40 split, 60 in the United States, 40 here in Canada, tens of thousands of subscribers. But you captivated people. And I've never had more people say to me, hey, can you bring him back? Can you have Lev back? I really enjoy listening to him. And it wasn't so much the insider mind-blowing nuclear intel that you have, which is now resulted in you being number one in Substack and world politics, number one. It's just the way you are, dude. You are just a G, and I fucking love it. Good to see you.
I love you, Dean. Your show is incredible, and love Canada. We have such a big Canadian subscription base, following base. It's so amazing to watch how Canadians are out there supporting us, man. And it's always been like that. Us in Canada, it's the same people. Just like Ukrainians and Russians were always the same people until you had a madman like Putin that tried to disrupt it. And now we have a madman like Trump is trying to do the same thing with us. So we can't let that happen. We can't let, because what Trump and Hegsack and all of these maniacs are trying to do cannot affect the people.
You just call him Hegsack? You just called him Hegsack.
Letting you know. I've been hanging out with Michael Cohen too long. When you're with Michael Cohen, you pick up all these one-liners. And he spent so many years with Trump. I call Trump Donnie 2 weeks.
I stole it, by the way. I gave you credit. I'm like, my boy Lev Parnas calls him Donnie 2 weeks. So in a couple of posts, I called him Donnie 2 weeks. Dude, I love when you and Michael Cohen go off. When you and Malcolm Nance and Michael Cohen in the unfiltered, raw, unplugged Substack exclusive get going, I seriously screen share it onto my television from my phone and I shut everything off because it's gnarly, dude. Like Michael Cohen has a mouth on him that no one appreciates more than me, than an old shock jock from Canada.
And that's I just want to say one thing about that. Like, if you take into consideration what just happened with Donald Trump, like, yeah, I mean, we could say that, we could turn, but the president of the United States cannot come out on the world say that. He cannot go out there and say fuck you, or they don't know what the fuck they're doing. I mean, and I'm sorry, but I have to paraphrase what the president of the United States said, because as crazy as it sounds, I literally had to have conversations with my kids over dinner, explain to him, because we've never been in politics. Those of you that know my story, I mean, we've never been in politics until Donald Trump went into office. But now my family is very into politics. My son is out there, number one.
Aaron is the news. Dude, I read that Rolling Stone article on Aaron Parnas. It was huge.
That was huge, right? He's
massive.
I like the way they say he's better than Joe Rogan. You know what I'm saying to you? And
he is, because there's no bravado when it comes to Aaron, your son, Aaron Parnas Perspective. Everybody should subscribe to it. He's great. He communicates in a layman way where it's really easy for us to understand it. And these short little mini clips or micro clips are called micro content, where you get that blast of news in an understanding that connects with everybody from the ages of 50. And some people are having a hard time hearing you too here, Zev, or Lev. So if you want to lean a little closer, that's again the beauty of Substack, is there's no format, no filter. You can do 5 podcasts, you can do a little bit of micro content, but the way that you and Aaron have sort of, I don't know if it's, I want to get to some of the groundbreaking stuff that you've been sharing on your Substack. The way that you've attacked this Trump, Iran, Putin, Israel stuff almost seems like you guys are communicating where, Aaron's out there giving people the short strokes, the breaking news, the micro content, and then from that content, you get to arrow down into the who, the what, the where, the when, and the why, and the fact that Putin is the real puppet master of everything going on in the Middle East right now.
I mean, I tell you, I give him all the credit with that. When I first came to Substack, this is all new to me. I've never been involved in social media at all. I used to, I'm a business guy. I'm behind the scenes, usually do my thing.
Yeah.
And watching Aaron, really take a handle and find that niche. And I think the niche
Yeah.
that he really provided, like you said, is, we're used to watching the media. And first of all, independent journalism, where you're not getting it one side or the other, where you're getting the truth, where it's, not like Fox or the CNN, where it's driven one side or the other. But also that he was able to give it in such a way where it was these, like you said, little clips quickly within 1 minute, 2 minutes, he could give you literally the full breaking news outlet in a way where you could understand it, digest it, and move on with your day without waiting and spending an hour listening to some news, giving their
Yeah.
opinion. And I saw that that's really where we're at in this country. That's what people need, because we're all on the go and nobody's tuning in, no more CNNs or Foxes or MSNBCs. That's why, you got the Joe Rogans, Aarons, of the world. People want to tune in, get those. And so that's what I thought to myself. Let me follow what Aaron's doing, because, I'm not a journalist. I'm not out here breaking news. I mean, I'm not out here reporting the news. What I do is I have insight. I know these people, I've lived in, and I have a lot of connections all over the world, connected in that world. So I said, let me take what Aaron's doing and give the other side of it by giving the people an inside look so they understand.
Yeah, you do what Aaron's doing, but you pull back the curtain a little bit, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to give that same, instead of writing one long letter or have one long Substack, I'm trying to do it all day, in maybe a shorter form, letter writing, or a shorter form video, but giving it the context, explaining what the breaking news. So if Aaron breaks the news, or the Midas guys break the news, I'll go out, or they report the news. I usually, me, Michael, these guys, we're the ones breaking the news. But once they report it, I'll go out, talk about the inside of what's going. And by the way, I don't know if you want the Michael Cohen just texted me. If you want to bring him up,
Is he in? You want me to bring him in? Yeah.
yeah,
I don't.
he's in France, right, Paris right now, so he's enjoying it. Not like us hard people, we have to work. But he's in Paris, so maybe you guys speak to say, a little.
How do I send that invite, dude? You're gonna have to walk me through this, because I've never done it on a live show before.
You gotta go to a button. See on the button where you see the microphone, and there's on the bottom there's a
Yeah. Got it. Add somebody. Okay. Yeah.
then type in Michael.
Does Mr. Cohen follow me? It would be nice if he did. Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen. Could we have the Michael Cohen on this show too at the same time with the Lev Parnas? We're just gonna grease Donald Trump.
No, we're with the Dean Blundell. There he is.
Hey, Dean.
Hey, Michael, you gotta do one in front of the Eiffel Tower, dude. You gotta get out of the hotel.
I can do it in front of the Opera House.
That would be great if you could. You can do a podcast anywhere, dude. It's just awesome to see you on my phone in my bedroom with Lev Parnas on the other side. Because I watch you guys every single.
By the way, don't pull a CNN on us.
You mean don't pull a Jeffrey Toobin? Is that what you're saying?
Don't be pulling a Jeffrey Toobin.
Hey, just a quick aside before we get to the great act and the choreography in the Middle East. You guys have never been in the middle of a high stakes meeting with colleagues on Zoom during the pandemic, and you just had to jerk off, right? You've never done that? Nobody?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
Thank God I don't know how to use Zoom, so I'm not even on that.
I know he's actually a decent guy, Jeffrey Toobin. Why he did it, that mistake that he made, I mean, that's something he's going to have to deal with the rest of his life. But he's actually a very smart guy. I mean,
and a nice guy.
Now his legal analysis is spot on. And yeah, Dimitri, it's true. It took him almost 2 years to ultimately work his way back onto CNN, which, at the end of the day, good for him. I mean, I guess there really is redemption in this planet, right? I haven't gotten it yet, right? For what, for making a check, but Jeffrey Toobin is all but forgiven for for dropping his pants. I don't know. Things are screwed up. But Lev and I, we do a show on Thursday here on Substack. It's called Unleashed with Malcolm Nance. The three of us do it. And yeah, we do. We break news because, we got to have you on also at one point in time.
I'm in.
What
100%.
ends up happening is there's few people that really understand the game better than Lev or myself for that matter. Malcolm, coming from the world of national intelligence as a spy for 4 decades, he brings in a different perspective. But Lev, with his perspective on working as part of that process that the former administration was involved with, and myself, having been literally the guy at the seat next to Trump for a decade and a half, I understand, as Lev does, a perspective which is very different than anybody else, because nobody, and I'm not saying it because we have some sort of an intellect far beyond that of mortal men, right? It's simply because we've been in the room, we lived the room, we actually owned the room. So yeah. Oh, by the way, you're in Toronto?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am.
You,
Yeah.
you know, half my family live in Toronto. Hey, can I do some breaking news on
Yeah.
your show?
Oh, let's
Dude,
do it.
yeah.
Let's do it, Mike.
Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Cohen,
Can I
former
do some
Trump.
breaking news?
Breaking news for Michael Cohen on the
All right,
podcast
can
today,
we,
everybody.
Lev? Can
Yeah,
we get
yeah.
a drum roll, please?
Let's go.
I became a Canadian citizen yesterday.
Hallelujah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Hey.
I have dual citizenship. I am
Welcome.
my father is Canadian, gave up his citizenship. You know, half my family live in Toronto.
Still.
Chances are, I bet you I mean, my dad spent most of his youth life in Downsview,
Yep.
living in the area of Palm Drive by, Spadina and all that whole area. Originally when he first came to Canada after Poland, being a Holocaust survivor, he had his place that his father owned was on DRC Street, where he had a kosher butcher, shop. That's what they were in Poland.
Yeah.
After, before, of course, being put into the camps and then ultimately liberated. Obviously at the end of the war. So yeah, they ended up in Toronto, and then my dad came after becoming a head and neck reconstructive surgeon. Came to the United States for head and neck reconstructive surgery, and met my mom, who was a surgical nurse, and 4 lawyers later, none of us became doctors. We're all stupid, but 4 lawyers, and that's the American dream, right? But I
Yeah.
wanted my citizenship, because in 1976, when my dad became a U.S. citizen, he had to surrender his citizenship.
Yeah, you couldn't have dual back in the day. Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
not.
No.
That law changed in 79. But then when they reversed it and saying that you could, I was born in 66. So therefore, when I was born, I was technically born a Canadian citizen. So I did. I just filled out the paperwork. I went online, and yesterday I got notification that I got my certificate of citizenship.
I can, first of all, congratulations. Welcome to Canuckistan. Welcome to the North.
I'm so jealous because now he can travel, even though he's a convicted felon. Now he's going to travel to Canada, and as a Canadian, I can't travel to.
No, you can get a special exemption, dude. We let a 34-time felon and an adjudicated rapist come to Alberta a couple weeks ago.
That's true. That you did do that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But listen, Michael, let me ask you a question. What was the impetus for this? Was it this idea that you just wanted to take advantage of your Canadian heritage? What is it? Hey, listen, I want to lock arms with my brothers and sisters up in Canada, democracy-loving brothers and sisters up in Canada. Everybody here in the chat is jealous. What was the impetus?
It's a combination of all of that and more. First of all, I was very taken back by my former boss and my friend. The fact that he was making so much fun of Trudeau as the governor of what should be our 51st state. I called my cousins and I said to them, look, the Canadian dollar is so weak compared to the US dollar. Maybe it makes sense for you guys. And he goes, Michael, we're never giving up our national, our heritage and so on under any circumstance. And the fact that Trudeau doesn't, really go head to head with Trump will ultimately cost him the prime ministership. And it did. It did. A lot of people were offended by the statements, and there's no reason for it. Canada being our closest ally, our neighbor, our cousins. There are that it's my first cousins.
We were just talking
It's
about
just
that. We started off with that. That's exactly what we started off with saying. It's like when
it's
I say,
you don't do things like this, not when we rely so heavily on one another. A lot of people don't know this, but Canada, especially Ontario, that provides basically the entire northeast of the country, the United States, from New York, from Maine all the way to New York. It provides us with electricity. So, I mean, imagine if Trudeau turned around and said, "Fuck you. You know what? You wanna do that? Say it one more time. I dare you. I
Yeah.
fucking dare you."
Well, dude, that's exactly what happened the last time he said we're going to annex Canada. Is Mark Carney finally got on the phone prior to ascending to the prime minister's seat, and he basically said to him, "Hey, listen, I'm going to tax and tariff you. I'm going to punish you every single fucking time your fat mouth mentions anything about being annexed or annexing us." Or you reference the office of the prime minister in any shitty way, or you start threatening Canadian sovereignty and national security, and you saw an immediate drop, like that, which and I would love to get that insight from both of you about Trump, because the second you say something to Trump to his face, he shuts the fuck up. If he's not on a stage,
Well,
if he's
that's
not,
not always true. What he does is he realizes he does evaluate. Shockingly enough, he
right,
will
right.
evaluate whether or not that what is being threatened is legitimate. When he talked about California, how he turned on the spigot, so all of a sudden
The
now there's
water.
free flowing water in California, as if
he just
all of a
flooded
sudden it's like
farmland. That's all he did.
it's like this is like, oh, there goes the water. Quite frankly, it's a lot of water. There's so much water. You've never seen so much water in your whole life, right? All of a sudden, right? It's like he's got a spigot going. That's not how it works. But you know what does work? The switch to shut off all the power from Ontario to
Yeah.
the United States. That is a gigantic, what they
Yeah.
call a Frankenstein switch, like the ones you saw in Young Frankenstein, where you pull that hammer down, you would
Mhm.
shut off the light pretty much from Maine all the way past New York. No
Mhm.
joke. So,
Mhm.
Trump did evaluate it, and they turned around and said, maybe you ought to take it easy, right? Take it easy, because this is the truth. So he does do evaluations. I mean, it's not like everything is just gut instinct. I'm going to tell you, the thing that bothers me the most of all of this, and it really truly does bother me, is the fact that Congress seems to be fast asleep. Our
Mhm.
Congress just seems to be fast asleep at the wheel. The fighting that's going on, whether or not the War Powers Act belongs to the President of the United States, it does. Under Article 2 of the Constitution, I'm sorry, yes, Article 2 of the Constitution, the War Powers Act belongs to the President. Okay, let's even grant him. Let's grant him national security was on the line and so on. Well, Article 1 declares that Congress is the only place that you can actually go to war, right? I mean, the president could do things for national security under Article 2, but it needs to be declared by Congress. Okay, let's assume for a second that Iran was a real issue, that they were ready to create one of 10 nuclear bombs. We can never allow Iran to become nuclear ever. So let's even give Trump that split second of, okay, fine, you were right. You upheld the Constitution. So on. Once he makes the assertion that they have obliterated Iran's nuclear program, We've we've put them out of the nuclear business. Well, that war is no longer feasible because Trump himself said so. It's been obliterated. Therefore, logic being logic, Congress now must be included in all of the discussions and the evaluation and the analysis. But for whatever the reason is, Congress doesn't see it that way. They're not doing anything within which to,
Well,
again,
he's not.
assert their own power, right,
Mhm.
under the co-equal branch of government.
Michael,
Lev?
he's not even sharing it with them. He was supposed to. You had Thomas Massey come out. You even had some other Republicans come out. They were supposed to get a briefing of why. Because this is the whole thing, guys. What Michael's saying is, listen, he has the right to go if America is under attack today or under threat of attack, under those pretense or whatever. He has the right to go strike. That's what Article 2 is. That's what the president is. But that's what Congress is trying to find out. Why did you strike that day? Why?
Yeah.
Why did you said 2 weeks? You said this. You said it's imminent. Then you said you're talking. What happened that day? And that's what I brought up, and that's what we've been talking about all this time with Michael, with Malcolm, and on our show is that day was something different. And now what's being uncovered by the New York Times, CNN, and everybody else is what we've uncovered a week ago. What we said is that because it was all choreographed and a lot of the stuff was moved. And like Malcolm said, even if some of the stuff that was stayed behind, that because of the way it was the bombs hit, you have to reevaluate because you still have a mountain on top of a mountain. And you have to take, somebody very smart said on one of the shows, they said, look, how are they getting these assessments? How can Trump say everything is obliterated? Because if you even take Trump's own assertion where he says all the entrances, everything's blown up, it's all destroyed. So how can they go down and check? If it's like, how are they getting this information?
Yeah, there's no bomb damage assessment at all from the actual site
and the
I mean,
itself.
you
thing,
Yeah.
can do
yeah.
you can do damage assessment via satellite,
Right, but
via
that
on the
quickly,
ground intelligence, and so on. He
but they
didn't.
don't have it
He
there right now. But there is no underground intelligence, right? That's the
No,
whole
but
thing.
they do have the satellites within which to make
Correct.
certain determinations. They're able to use what do you call it? Heat, sonar, and so on, and so they have ways of making significant determination. Also, air quality, because when you end up, that stuff burns very hot. So
There was
they
no
do
leak.
have certain ways,
Right, but
but
there
they
was no
didn't have
leak.
enough time to do it. It's
No.
just not enough time. Trump
Well,
came out and he made statements which are not true. And as an
yeah.
American, as somebody who wants to believe, I really want to believe that Trump was successful in wiping out Iran's nuclear program for
No.
fear of not just America, not just Israel, but for humanity. You
Sure.
can't fight a theocracy like that. And that's my point. Can I make just one last statement? I got to run because I got to start getting dressed for dinner. But Dean, number one, it was a pleasure to be up here with you. Let's do this absolutely again. I want to say to all of my subscribers, please make sure that you subscribe to Dean's Substack and to Lev's. If you're a Lev or a Dean, you want to subscribe to mine. It's The Real Michael Cohen. We need to build the community. Lev and I talk about this, I think, ad nauseum, more than anybody out there. And I really wish that Substack would help us. I really do, because TikTok is a fucking failure to the nth degree. All right. They're so afraid of Trump shutting them down. If we had this conversation right now about Trump, I would be getting at the bottom of their community guideline
Shadow ban.
violations.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
not getting that on Substack, but Substack, they have their handful of folks that they play with. Everybody else is sort of secondary, right? I don't agree with it. I don't think there are enough people, Dean, like yourself, Lev, myself, that have the ability to generate large audiences. But we have about 1,000 people in here. Bullshit. We should have 10,000 people. And then we would selfishly say, not 10,000, each and every one of you. You see that little square with the arrow over there? That's a share button. You keep smashing, number one, the heart, which you're doing. Thank you. But that little square with the up arrow, that's how you share this program right now with friends and family. All right.
Mm.
Listen, Darguri, I don't care if you like me or not. I truly don't. Right? It, you don't mean anything to me. My goal here is to educate. What you think you know, I forgot 12 years ago in my third year being with Trump. So, I love the trolls. You guys are great. My goal here is to build a community so that we could end up helping to effectuate what's needed. And that is a functional Congress who works with the president, all right? Who works with the president so that way, at the end of the day, we, the American people, we get the benefit that we deserve. Whether you voted for Trump or not, irrelevant. Whether you like him or not, irrelevant. Whether you despise him or not, irrelevant. What is relevant is that we get legislation. It may not be what they want. It may not be exactly what we want, but we get something in the middle. We get, as Trump likes to call it, the big deal, right? We get a deal done because right now there's no deals getting done. There's no discussions being had. Everything is either I win, you lose, or you lose and I win. I mean, that's not the way to govern. You can't. What happens when you try to do it that way? All you get is massive litigation, which every single one of Trump's.
You think we're losing Michael?
Oh, did we lose him? Gotcha. No, we lost your audio. You got audio there still? You want to pump back in? Oh, Michael, your internet connection's toast. Yeah. Just pump back in. Or you can take off and go get ready for dinner, but thank you, dude. We'll do this again. We'll exchange numbers through Lev. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. There's Michael Cohen. That was wild. It's so crazy. This place is crazy.
You never know. When you go live, you never know. And that's, but that what?
Yeah, we just literally, dude, we just were in the middle of just shooting the shit. We were talking, kind of getting into the Iran, Israel, Putin, puppet master Trump stuff. And you're like, Michael Cohen's watching. You want to jump on it? I'm like, sure. Donald Trump's former lawyer and Donald Trump's former business associate / aide on the same podcast. Why the fuck not? And then he just gets on here. He starts spitting hot fire. We make fun of Jeffrey Toobin. And then we start leaning into the building of a community of like-minded people. And then someone's like, I don't like you. And he's like, fuck you. I don't like you either. Yeah, that's why I love Michael Cohen. And I love watching you do your Ron Unfiltered with him and Nance. My God, that was great. That was fun.
That was a little taste of it, but we're going to have you on.
Anytime.
On Mission 100%, Dean. And
dude,
we're going to be going live. So Canada, like
anything can happen. I listened to your dog pee on the floor today in your last podcast, in your last Substack, right? So
when we go live, we go live. Anything can happen. That's the beauty of Substack and going live, that there's no scripts, no pre-show. You get it the way it is, and and that's why I have to agree with Michael on a lot of things they said when it comes to building the community, because like we were talking about breaking the news, talking about giving the insight, we're talking about that is extremely important right now, because one of the things we're trying to do is defeat Donald Trump, to save our democracy. I know Michael has a good intentions, but me and him disagree on certain things, and I disagree that Congress can't work with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not somebody that we'll be able to ever do something with. Donald Trump has gone way and beyond. He is in a different world, different things now, totally out of control, and there's a lot more that's with that. But on the overall aspect of it, yes, we should, like Michael said, 100% have Congress get involved. We should have some leadership from the Democratic Party that is right now speaking with the Thomas Masseys of the world, speaking with the what's it called, Don Bacon's and all these people, and start figuring out how can we start stopping Trump from what he's doing now, instead of all this infighting that we're having, all of this, okay. So I see where he's going with that, and I agree 100% that we do definitely need somebody to step in, because otherwise, as crazy as Trump is, meaning when I say crazy, meaning the chaotic situations he does on a daily basis that he's doing, putting the world on fire. Unless we step up and start doing something about now, we're going to be in a lot more trouble. And if you go back to what we spoke about when we first spoke a few weeks ago, look at all the things that transpired in these past few weeks that already we don't talk about. Like, we don't talk about that, he didn't stop with Canada. He didn't stop with the tariffs. He didn't stop wanting to take over Greenland. He didn't stop. We still have troops in Los Angeles, even though we have no protests. It's going about nothing. The protest ended. We still have troops in Los Angeles. We still have people being dragged off the street. Just today, another court ruled this the fourth citizen that was taken off the streets of the United States illegally, deported to a different country or imprisoned and jailed. I mean, we're living through an authoritarian time in the
Takeover,
country,
yeah.
or takeover, and in a constitutional crisis. So yes, we need something to happen quickly, because right now we are forgot about all these things because we're concentrating on what's happening right now with Iran and all this Middle East and everything. But it's even a bigger game that I'm going to say something. Oh, go ahead.
No, and I want to get into it. You go ahead and finish your thought, but I want to get into it because you have been 5 hours, sometimes 5 days ahead of breaking news from CNN, breaking news from Al Jazeera, breaking news from MSNBC, breaking news from the U.S. Intel Service about what Donald Trump failed to do with the Iranian regime yesterday, no matter the lie and the story that he told. But you've also been way out in front of this when it comes to Putin's involvement and how some of your Substack articles are absolutely insightful, and you break it down by timeline. Almost like 6 hours later, this meeting happened in Russia. 3 hours later, a phone call went into Qatar. Like you are effectively asserting the fact that this is an act. This is political theater. This is not a war in the Middle East. This is a dance going on between Putin, Iran, and I want to know if Trump's involved or if he's being played, but I also want you to finish your thought, and then we'll kind of get into, it sounds conspiratorial, but it's a real wag the dog thing that you're suggesting.
100%. And I'm going to give you, and I'm going to start off by what I was going to say. Actually,
Please, yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it was perfect timing, because exactly what I wanted to say to you. I'm going to give you something that nobody's speaking about, but I welcome each and every one of you, whoever has go on the computer. I'm going to connect a few dots to you guys right now that the media is not reporting. Will show you, give you ample proof, not concrete, but like when we go to court, there's circumstantial evidence and then there's hardcore evidence. So yes, this is not a smoking gun where here's a picture of Putin literally taking out the nuclear weapons. But I'm going to give you a little something where behind the scenes, what nobody picked up on, what my sources brought to my attention. So Putin, before when Trump started talking about he's going to strike Iran, before he gave them 2 weeks, he was going back and forth. He threatened Tehran to evacuate. He started talking about, Steve Witkoff is right about, these are key words, because remember, Steve Witkoff is Putin's guy. He's the guy that speaks to Putin. He's the guy that speaks to the Iranians. He's the one that
He's the new you? Is Witkoff the new you?
Witkoff is the new me, 100% on steroids, actually, because he goes back, his relationship with Donald Trump is a lot stronger, longer than my relationship was, I'm saying. So the interesting part is that, first of all, the one tall tale they came out with today is that Witkoff finally came out with a statement, and he said that he met with the foreign minister of what's it called, Iran, right prior to the attacks and right after the attacks. Well, you would think nothing of it because that's he's the liaison. But if you really take a deep look, that Witkoff is also somebody that is the only person that I know of in the history that's met Putin in 100 days 4 times, met him without any of American personnel, by himself, is extremely close with and has a handler by name of Kirill Dmitriev that and spews Russian propaganda into Trump's ear nonstop. So he met with this guy, but this is the same foreign minister of Iran that literally the day after the attack went to Russia to hand deliver a letter from the Ayatollah directly to Putin, asking for it. Right after that, the chain of events, how Trump today lovely explained to all of us how it was all played out. He told you the script. He said that they called him, they gave us warning, they asked us what's a good time for us to bomb you. Then they said, we evacuated all our people. We left some gunners there. I mean, he gave you the whole script exactly how it played out. So
Moved all of our planes. We moved all of our bombers. Yeah.
And he gave you the whole script. But the one thing nobody's talk about is
Yeah.
that Putin, and this is where I want to come back to, is the mastermind, because he made a comment, and I wrote about it, and that's why it's important for you guys to go back and read these, the Substack letters to really see what transpired, the chain of events. Putin had an interview, and they asked him. They said Donald Trump is threatening to strike Iran. You have contracts, with Iran, where Iran is helping you with the shihads. You guys are very close in turn. Are you going to help them, or how can you help them with this escalation? And Putin said one key thing. He said, we're already helping him. We're helping him because we have over 600 scientists and I don't quote me, the big nuclear plant where Trump said
Fordow or
Fordow, yeah,
Natanz. Yeah.
Fordow, I think, yeah, Fordow, where and they said, so you Russia or the U.S. or Israel won't dare to strike it with 600 Russian scientists and citizens there. So he makes that statement. So now, fast forward, we strike, we abolish it. Where are those 600 scientists? Where is the death of how many people did we kill? Have you noticed that there's no, we're not talking about how many people died in these attacks, like
Yep.
scientists,
Yep.
personnel? Because
Well, I mean, today they said something. It was, I can't remember, some Trump proxy said something to the effect of, I think it was JD Vance. Yeah, and no one's talking about the leaders that we took out. Like, and he basically said, the uranium doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter where it is. Doesn't matter how it is. Doesn't matter what we obliterated or what we destroyed or what we damaged. The real damage was we took out some military leaders. Like, they have completely changed. They've let the cat out of the bag and changed the focus, the premise, and the principle behind the idea that they needed to strike Iran before they got access to a nuclear weapon. And what a lot of people don't know, and something that you've reported and nobody else has, other people are starting to, is that these Russian scientists were not at any of the facilities. There was a facility that was not bombed. They were not at any of the facilities that were bombed, and days prior to the actual bombing, between 15 and 17 trucks showed up, went into a tunnel, pulled everything out. And Iran rubbed it in Trump's face yesterday, or America's face, someone's face, or as part of the choreography, or they just got the memo that they needed to put this out. Not only are we still enriching uranium, you didn't get all of it. We moved it all ahead of time. And they used the word planned ahead because of Donald Trump's Truth Social post.
Back. But today they walked out because
they did,
because Putin kicked their ass, because Putin's coordinating. I started telling him, because he said, "Listen, if you keep talking like that, they're going to strike you again, and they're going to go after." Because Putin is manipulating this thing. Because what did Trump say today that it was so crazy that the media nobody's talking about? Trump today confirmed, finally, saying that Putin wants to take over not just Ukraine. He wants to go into
Baltics.
the Baltics and Poland. He literally said it today. This is what this is about, guys. This all choreographic is to give Trump a win. I know it sounds crazy, but you're going to see it play out as the days go on, because there's a lot more stuff that's going to come out. Because, see, they have some wild cards. See, the one thing that they can't control, that is like when Putin can't, Trump can't control Vladimir Zelensky.
Mm-hmm.
He used to control him to a certain degree, because and then he lost that control, and now Zelensky became a wild card. The other wild card and joker in this whole thing is Netanyahu, Israel. They can't control, because there's too much. Like, see, Putin has more control over Iran because basically he allowed them to keep their nuclear weapons. He's helping them still financially. Iran, if you take a look at what's happening in the Iranian media, they're screaming, chanting that they've attacked and responded to the great Satan, the United States. We've won the war, and life is beautiful. The Ayatollah is still somewhere in hiding, you know what I'm saying to you. And we have this whole thing. But what I said earlier today on a different show, it's like a Band-Aid, but a Band-Aid on like a wet surface, that's already coming off. That's going to literally just fall off at any minute. Because the one thing that Trump doesn't take into consideration with all of it, because all of this he did it as a business deal, is that there's also a lot of years and years, not only religious, but also territorial land. I mean, so many other things in place that it's just because the media cycle is moving so quickly that is not being talked about.
Yeah.
The Muslim world, the Arab countries, what's going on, how they're going to respond. Israel, I mean, Trump literally, I'm told that people say that he screamed at Netanyahu. I'm told he begged Netanyahu to turn those planes around because he needed to that went so badly. And the other thing that I'm going to tell you, Dean, that I'm hearing that why Trump did that whole peace thing and pushed them, because that was supposed to take longer, is because of the cracks he's having in Mega.
Mm.
Mega is falling apart. He's lost Bannon. He's lost Tucker Carlson, Elon Musk. He's losing, and what he
Marjorie
did with
Taylor Greene. I mean, you
Marjorie
really got to
Taylor.
fuck up to lose Marjorie Taylor
You got
Greene.
you got to do some real shit to lose Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, that's one thing I could have never what's it called. But he's starting to lose the other side, because now you got to understand he has a very big pro-Israel mega connection, and the
Mhm.
way now he went after Israel, telling them to stop. So now the media is not reporting on, and I go on these social media platforms and I'm on all of these debates and all that now they're turning on him.
Hmm.
So when Michael says, and when I say that the time is now to act because the cracks are there, the moments are there. I mean, just think about this. I want to read an exchange of posts on Twitter between the Vice President of the United States and one of our top Republican congressmen that was hardcore mega, folks, hardcore mega.
Okay.
So JD Vance tweets out today. He says, "I wonder if other vice presidents had as much excitement as I do." And and he puts this laughing sign, right? So Thomas Massey responds, not
Yeah.
the Democrats, not some trolls. Thomas Massey, one of the top Republican, responds, Why don't you ask Mike Pence about his last month in office?"
They tried to hang that VP.
This is we're having played out of the whole world. So when I say there's cracks, I mean, Dean, I mean you could put a 18-wheeler through 'em. I mean they're
So let me. I know, and there's so much to unpack there, but I need to start unpacking some of it because you're on the tip and you're way ahead of the curve when it comes to inside information. We've only got about 15 minutes left. I know you got another Substack live to do after this, maybe 6 or 7 more. I might see you all night long, dude. You might go. You should put a mini fridge in your office.
I feel like that. Thanks
You
to my wife.
should.
If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah,
Because she's
well,
wrangling the kids in the background.
I know, and I heard she had to take the dog after he peed on the floor in your last podcast too. So you say this is choreographed distraction. You've described the Israel-Hamas war as choreographed. You've kind of laid out who you believe is choreographing the crisis. Obviously, Putin. You've talked about the axis of impunity in your Substack post. Putin, Netanyahu, Trump. They're not stopping World War III. They're running it. It's a great piece. You should go to lev.parnas.substack.com or levparnas.substack.com and check it out. But what is the benefit here to Putin to orchestrating, a 12-day war that, and I think I'm coming up with the answer as I ask the question, that makes America look ridiculously stupid, that makes Trump look way worse, and that gives him a little bit of breathing room when it comes to money because of oil prices. Is it just that simple? Or is Trump in on the choreographed wag the dog political theater? Or is he being used and abused at the hands of a guy who he legitimately worships right now?
Yeah, no, you hit it on the dot, Dean. I mean, he's definitely being used and abused because what Trump cares about is Trump is trying to implement these tactics that he's learned and watched guys like Putin and Kim Jong-un and others do in their countries. He's trying to implement it here.
Mm.
So we're having that same, and this is right now the media is just taking the attention off because we're dealing what's happening overseas. But that's what Trump is really trying to do. Putin understood that. Putin understood that Trump wants to become his dictator in the United States. Putin understood that he wants to take over Canada and Greenland. So Putin understood how to feed into that by explaining to him that what you want to do in your country, I want to do in my country. That's why Trump understands him. That's why Trump, and he sold them just like you think Canada is your 51st state. Ukraine is our one of our states. It was one of our states. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So Putin is using that on Trump. The second thing is Putin didn't start the 12-day war. I want to make it very clear. Putin uses and manipulates the situation. The war was been going on between Israel, Palestine. It was erupting. Putin is one of the major instigators and leads it because what a lot of people don't even remember or realize that who went to see the Kremlin 3 months prior to October 7th and 1 week, literally, or 2 days after October 7th. It was the Hamas leadership.
Mm.
Hamas leadership that are under the Iranian regime. Nobody talks about that. Putin orchestrates a lot of the mayhem that happens in the world by using proxies like Iran, like North Korea, and others to be able to do it there, not to have his hands on certain situations. So the chaos Putin has been causing has been always going on because he has, besides obviously causing chaos in the world and disruption in the United States, gives him more power and advantage. But his goal right now is to unite the old Soviet Union. His goal is to take out, Ukraine, Georgia, Kazakhstan, bring all of them back under the fold. Go
Mhm.
after the Poland, go after the Baltics, make Russia, make the Soviet Union the great power that it once people thought it was, but not what the Russia that is now that we're seeing unfold and realize.
So
So
connect me then real quick if you can, with the connection between, because not long after Hamas went to the Kremlin prior to October 7th and the massacre of innocent Jews in Israel, um, and the genocide of innocent Jews and families, kidnapping and raping and all the terrible things that precipitated what's going on between Israel and Gaza right now, and I believe those things. Um, Not long after that, Mr. Netanyahu also spoke with the Kremlin, right? And that's the joker that you point out. That's the wild card in this mix. Is he being used by Putin as well, or is Netanyahu also using? Because it really, I get this overarching.
Netanyahu's using Trump.
Yeah, I get that overarching theme or thematics or argument from your content and listening to you and reading everything on your Substack. By the way, everybody has to go and subscribe to Lev Parnas' Substack. Paid subs get part of these chats. Lev remembers Story Time with Lev. He does an incredible job of disseminating information that really nobody's talking about, nobody has, because he has these back channels to these people and he understands what's going on in each region and has these legitimate phone calls and conversations. So let me just back that up if I can. Netanyahu is playing Trump. Did he co-opt Trump on behalf of Putin to get involved in Iran? Or was this just a conversation between Putin and Trump where he's like, you should really help Netanyahu. You should go and bomb those facilities while I move all the uranium and we'll just call it fun.
No, a lot of the stuff happened because of circumstances, that were playing out, and because this wasn't scripted, like, and I want to make it clear, like, wasn't scripted like years ago or something. Like, no, when we're talking about scripted, we're talking about on the go solutions and resolutions. So when obviously Putin did not want Iran to get invaded and all of this to happen, but Putin can't control Trump either. He plays it, but Trump is also a very uncontrollable. Sometimes goes off the deep end, does things what's it called. So when all of a sudden Putin realized that Trump is going to go after Iran, and you have to take this into consideration. This didn't happen just now, folks. Very important. Again, I'm going to remind you what happened when right after the election, the first person in the White House was Bibi Netanyahu. and they had an incredible meeting, oval meeting, and everything. And at that meeting was decided that Iran was next on the list. Basically, Bibi went to Congress. Everybody was talking about America. Trump was even walking out saying that we're going to take the Palestinian people and throw them all over the world. We're going to have the Riviera on the. Remember all of that?
Oh,
We
yeah.
talked about that. But
Yeah,
that
he
was
said he was
all-
going to put a Trump hotel there, and they were going to give him
Correct.
Gaza, and he's gonna like mow it all down, and he's going to put all the Palestinians in their own community. It's sounded a lot like apartheid. Yeah, I remember that.
Absolutely. So because remember, he's dealing with one situation at a time. Meanwhile, his guy, the Lev Parnas ex, now
The new
Steve
Lev,
Witkoff,
Steve
the new
Witkoff.
Lev,
Yeah,
Steve Witkoff. Remember, he's not only speaking to the Middle East negotiator, he's the head, but he's also speaking with Putin and directly. So, but Putin also has another source in our besides people working at the White House. We know the relationship with Tulsi Gabbard. So what happens all of a sudden 60 days ago? All of a sudden, the Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth, there's a breaking news that Trump decides not to attack Iran, and he's going to give them time.
2 weeks. Donnie, 2 weeks.
No, not the first 2 weeks. Not the
Oh,
first
okay.
2 weeks. The 60 days that happened.
Okay.
That was all done coordinated because Putin was using Witkoff and Tulsi and now to be able to explain to him that there's no rush until Iran invaded, and that's why I say Israel is the wild card. Until Israel started hitting, that's where Bibi pushed Trump into it.
Yeah.
Israel went and started attacking Iran. Wiped it out. You know what I'm saying to you? They said it's time to go. The 60-day deadline was coming up that Trump gave them. Putin know that now Trump is on the move to go, but that deadline was for them to move the uranium, for them to restock all of that, to be able to start preparing, because they knew that the strikes were coming in any day now. That's why at the last seconds they convinced Trump to do the 2 weeks. Because the 2 weeks, what it basically did is it started lying to the media and putting her. Because if you take a look at my Substack, literally minutes after Trump said 2 weeks, I came out and said my sources say it's going to be imminent within 24 hours, 48 hours.
And it happened. I know. I read that.
And it happened literally right because it was all a setup for him to already, because everything was already gone. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Mm-hmm.
And so for Putin right now, he cares about. Listen, Putin is not in favor of Iran having what's it called?
Enriched uranium. Yeah.
Yeah, Putin doesn't want that either. He doesn't want
No.
another powerhouse or to deal with. So Putin is playing it just like when I reported that China helps Russia just enough to stay alive, but not enough to win the war. The same thing, just like what the Biden regime did with Ukraine. We gave him just enough to survive weapons, but we didn't give him enough to go out there and win the war.
Yeah.
And same thing is happening right over here with Iran, where Russia is helping them enough to stay alive. Russia does. That's why there was no talk of change of regime ever. The only person that wants change of regime and really wants to take out Iran is Bibi. And Bibi understands this whole plea and is using these windows of opportunity between Trump and Putin to be able to take as much and hit as much as he can by using Trump. So Trump is being played by Bibi. He's being played by Putin. You know what I'm saying to you? And right now, he's being played by the Iranians, because even now, today, he came out and said some crazy shit, like literally that, a reporter said to him, how do you not trust your own
intelligence?
He goes, well, I have a report here from the Israeli intelligence, but not only that, he goes, the Iranians came out today and said that we hit them really hard. That's it. And so now you're believing the Iranian intelligence over your own intelligence. And I mean, you can't make this shit up.
And I'll tell you something. I know we've only got a couple more minutes. Lev Parnas, his Substack, go and subscribe. He is incredible. He's number one in world politics right now. An old Giuliani and Trump confidant. Did some time, understands the assholes involved, and he speaks MAGA. So it's been nice to be able to kind of get the backstory, because you've been right about everything so far. If you go to his Substack, you can see that. But the one thing that I want to come back to is that last point is how far America's fallen watching Donald Trump stand there today at a NATO press conference. By the way, he was rage tweeting all night that CNN is scum and I'm right. And it was total obliteration, which it wasn't. His own intel said it wasn't total obliteration. As a matter of fact, they said they didn't even really think they set the Iranian nuclear weapons program back more than a few months, if indeed that's what they were doing. And that they also said, this is his own intelligence said, by the way, we don't know where 800 fucking pounds of the enriched uranium went, so we're going to have to start figuring that out. And Donald Trump not only dismissed it, he publicly on Air Force One and then today reasserted that he doesn't believe or trust American intelligence. He rather believes or trusts Israeli, Iranian, Russian, foreign intelligence. That is a fucking traitor. That is treason. He is a fucking asset. And for people to sit around and go, oh, maybe he's right, without actually getting on a Substack or talking about it or writing about it or going, hey, fucking alarm bells, somebody. The president of the United States just said he completely distrusts his intelligence apparatus. He completely doesn't believe anything they said about weapons-grade uranium. And instead of just going, yeah, you know what, maybe we need to go back and get them again. Maybe we didn't get all of them, but really proud of the men and women in uniform that conducted that strike. And we're going to have to look into bomb damage assessment. He's like, nope, I'm right. And posted like all day yesterday on True Social, Trump is always right. You know, that old fucking hat that he wears. It just amazed. I was breathless watching that this morning. Him say, well, I got Iranian intelligence, I got Israeli intelligence, and fuck American intelligence. I don't believe a word they say. Amazing to me.
I mean, Dean, it literally history repeats itself. If we go back to 2017, he stood on the platform in Finland saying that when asked the question, he said, "I don't trust my intelligence about Russia didn't interfere in our elections. I just spoke to Putin, and Putin told me why would we? I trust Putin, and there's no reason for him to lie to me."
Yeah.
And he just did the same thing again. And this time it's even crazier because last time at least you could say maybe somehow there was people in his intelligence that were not on it, but now these are all his people. These are all people that they have
He picked.
purged and he's put in there, and now he doesn't even believe his own people, his own intelligence, his own. I mean, and that's the sad and sick part, guys. It's really scary.
Lev Parnas is way ahead of the curve. He is one of my favorite new friends. It's nice to see Canada and America kind of come together for democracy's sake, for the truth's sake. You're not just a whistleblower, you're an activist, you're a journalist. The work you did during the No Kings Day protests was incredible. I watched a lot of that. Everybody, this is a community of people that are trying to move forward, that are trying to be progressive, also trying to be socially responsible, that are sticking up for democracy. Doesn't cost much to become a free subscriber. You just got to hit subscribe and give an email address. That's it. Paid subscribers always make us do a much better job. It's just what happens when we feel like we're beholden to you. And it's the greatest compliment you can pay people like Lev and myself is, you give us your time and you also give us your hard-earned money to produce content and keep you informed. We couldn't be more grateful for it. We couldn't be more proud to be part of your life and to have you spend this kind of time with us today. It's been a solid hour. And again, thank you for everybody's support. People like myself, Michael, Lev, Malcolm get a chance to have unfiltered conversations, ones that get shut down generally on different platforms. And so thanks to Substack. I don't share Michael's hatred for it yet. I'm sure I will. And thanks to you, Lev. Please go to his Substack. All of his content is there. All of his socials are there as well. levparnas.substack.com. Thank you, my friend, for joining me today.
Dean, no, thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having, and guys, this is the man, definitely. Anybody that follows me, you should be following Dean. And, he mentioned a couple of times Zev. Zev is his partner. Zev's a guy. Zev, Lev, it's like tomato, potato, potato. We're all the same. We're on the same team. Make sure you follow Dean. Make sure you follow Zev. Follow, you know who to follow, who not to follow. There's, and we are, like we said, we're building a community, and it's more than that. This is a movement. This is a resistance. This is a place where we're right now going to let our voices heard. Because the one thing I want to leave you off on, and as somebody that knows Donald Trump very well, I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to look at you and I'm going to tell you right now. Donald Trump is not scared of the media. Donald Trump's not scared of the DOJ or Congress or senators. Who Donald Trump is scared of more than anything is you, the people. Now scared is scared of the people. So make sure, keep it up. Keep your voices loud. Keep your voices heard. Keep spreading the truth. Keep doing what you're doing. We have more protests lined up. We need to put pressure on our congressman, senator. The cracks are there. The cracks are now becoming holes. Everybody has to do their job, because this is not about now trying to save just our democracy. Folks, we're trying to save the world, because the world is on fire. You have these war people, because just think about it, and I want to live off of that. Yes, this was choreographed, a lot of this was played out, but these are real bombs. Real people are still dying. There's real people that died in Israel and Iran and Palestine and in Ukraine every day, that are dying, while these people like Putin and Trump and others and are playing these games for power, for greed, for oil. So I just want to leave it off to you. That's why now more important. So the one thing you can't do is do nothing. So when we're done here, close your eyes for a second and think to yourself, what can I do? What can I do? And do it. Subscribe, follow, resend a message, call a friend, pass it on, but don't do anything, because history will judge each and every one of us. Dean, thank you for having me, brother.
Lev, love you. Talk to you soon, pal.
Take care, brother.
There you go. Lev Parnas, ladies and gentlemen, on the podcast today. What a guy. God, I love that. Michael Cohen stopped by for a quick cup of coffee. I really enjoyed that too. What a time to be alive. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. If you're coming from Michael Substack, Lev Substack, if you're just coming from Substack in general, you just found us 35% off annual subscriptions for life till the end of June. If you want to take advantage of that, that'd be great. And then you can get full access to all of our chats, some exclusive content, et cetera, et cetera. More importantly, it's really nice that we're getting so many people that have some of the answers to some of the questions you have on podcasts and in content, just to be able to kind of tell you the truth. I say this at the end of all of my podcasts with Zev Shalev on the 5 Stack. We're doing it at 3 o'clock. Come and join us. We're going to go over the 5 biggest stories of the day. Is that you have to go and fact check us too. We do our very best to make sure that we're telling you the truth, and we go way out of our way to make other people uncomfortable to make sure that you get that truth. And that's the only way out of the circular fucking funnel of disinformation and misinformation. I've sat and watched Donald Trump over the past 72 hours lie his ass off. I watched Pete Hegseth lie his ass off. I watched Marco Rubio, the entire Trump administration lie their asses off about, as Lev pointed out, real bombs landing on real people for political performance, for influence, to to mute approval numbers, to get approval, to sell more oil, to make more money, to make more ammunition, to make more machines of war. And we're the marks. All of us. Ukrainians are the marks. They want rare minerals, earth. Putin wants Ukraine back. Can't have it. So they're the marks. He's just going to kill them. We're the marks when it comes to disinformation, lies, gaslighting. And it's never going to end unless you stop feeding into those lies, unless you stop believing those lies, unless you turn people on like Malcolm Nance, like Aaron Parnas, Lev Parnas, Tara Reid, Steve Schmidt. There's so many good people here that are going out of their way, going it alone to try to tell you the truth, because we're you. We're the marks too. We just have the ability to be able to have conversations with you and give you this information. So the best way to do that is to subscribe, to join communities, join the movement, join the resistance, and stop watching mainstream media. What an abject fucking failure. Abject failure. Every time I turn on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, you got to watch them all. The abject failure in accurate reporting and chasing tales of dogs, war dogs that do not exist. All to keep you distracted. Don't be distracted. Stay involved. You can do this. We can do this together. And go and subscribe to people that you can trust. Fact check them too, including us. Have a great day, everybody. Everything we do, you can find on my Substack, deanblundell.substack.com. Subscribe to Lev, Michael Cohen, Zev Shalev. I'll be back at 3 o'clock to go over the 5 biggest stories of the day in the 5 Stack. exclusively here on Substack as well. And again, thank you for your time. I say it all the time. You can get more things, but you can't get more time. So that to me means the world. Have a wonderful day, everybody, from Canada and parts around the world. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye.